Ooh, doggy, I pissed a lot of people off with that video. Okay, well, I expected there would be some pushback, but maybe not as much as there was. But you know what? I'm a permaculture person, and so my focus is on how the problem can be the solution. Everything is a resource. So let's take some of the comments and feedback and opinions and pontification on my last video and use it as an opportunity for education, learning, growth, and building solidarity. Okay, so I took issue with a privileged white Australian man thinking that it was his job to condescendingly mansplain the American experience and try to tell the millions and millions of Americans living under fascism as we actively organize and resist, as our friends, family members, neighbors, us personally are beaten, arrested, as we are losing our jobs for standing up for democracy, as we're receiving death threats on a regular basis, as people are watching their entire careers be obliterated by Donald Trump, as folks are losing their health care, as children are going hungry, as people are struggling to pay rent, as they're watching their bank accounts dwindle and life in America become increasingly oppressive. You know what? I took a little bit of issue with an Australian guy making a series of videos and telling us that we need to hurry up and protest and that we don't know how bad things are here and we need to take his advice, right? My perspective is that if you're outside the United States, rather than presuming you know more than us, maybe ask us what we're going through. And I think that the responses from Canadians and Europeans and Australians in my comments really highlighted for me a couple of different things. First off, I want to say for the gazillionth time that overwhelmingly the comments that I get from people outside of the United States are so kind and so compassionate and extending real solidarity with the American people. Those folks understand that we are all allies, that we are all working class people who have a shared oppressor. All of the folks who get really mad, I had some Canadian lady in my comments who was like, none of you guys are doing anything to stop this. That tells me right away that corporate media and the Trump regime has been far more successful than I think a lot of folks realize at suppressing stories of resistance, suppressing the truth of what the American resistance looks like. We know that they don't cover protests. They don't want anybody outside the United States to see how the majority of Americans are not down with fascism. The majority of Americans are suffering. First of all, we didn't vote for this. We never wanted it. We're suffering mightily under this regime, and we are organizing, taking on real risks, making real sacrifices to stand up for our neighbors, to stand up for our rights, and to work to restore democracy. Donald Trump and corporate legacy media, all of the pillars of support under the regime, don't want y'all outside of the US to think that we are doing a damned thing. Trump wants you to think that we are super down with fascism, and he's incredibly popular. That's why he lies through his teeth and tells everybody, right? I'm so popular. I'm so beloved in this country. It's all horseshit. The approval ratings that came out for him today were at 33%. Now, if you're like, well, Angela, how come 33% of people still approve of Donald Trump? There's going to be a solid quarter of this population that is deep in the cult of MAGA. And in any society, you're going to have somewhere between 15 and 25%, as much as 35% of the population that's going to be right-wing. Fascism, right-wing ideology is not unique to the United States. That's my whole point. It's a global problem. Fascism is a problem everywhere right now. But Trump wants to project that he's big and powerful and that we're all down with this. Likewise, he's done everything that he possibly can to piss off our friends and allies around the globe. He communicates to the American people that everybody hates us, that everybody outside the United States hates us. And then the regime wants everybody outside the United States to think that we are a bunch of fascists and that we hate all of y'all, right? That's intentional. Fascist regimes have to set up an us versus them dynamic. They don't want us to have solidarity with working class people around the globe. They want us in the United States to feel friendless and alone, to be afraid of our allies and our neighbors. And they want all of y'all to hate us. They want to create conflict. It's the same reason you see Tim Pool, you see Stephen Miller, you see all kinds of influencers and members of the regime constantly talking about how we're on the verge of civil war in the United States. They have to have an us versus them mentality. It is one of their mechanisms of control. And watching the comments on this video, I see how effective that propaganda has been. And I see how effective our corporate media has been at hiding the truth from people outside the United States and also from people inside the United States, right? They're not going to talk about resistance because it'll piss off dear leader, right? All of these corporate media outlets, first of all, a lot of them are run by folks who are super down with fascism, but they're profit motivated. And they think right now they can make more money if they go along with fascism. So they're not going to tell the truth. They're not going to say anything that displeases Donald Trump and the regime, or he'll try and pull their license. He'll get people fired from their networks. Look at what happened to Stephen Colbert. Look at what happened to the folks from 60 Minutes, right? People are losing their jobs for speaking truth to power. And I guess this brings me to the whole other issue here, which is just that I think too many people don't understand yet that our struggle is not against each other. Our fight, our beef is not with each other. Our struggle is against systems and not people. They want you to hate the very folks you should be allies and friends with, the folks you should be in solidarity with, the folks who are actively sacrificing and making significant efforts to resist fascism. It makes me really sad when I see folks who are scolding us, yelling at us, being like, don't you know, you ignorant Americans. I had somebody in my comments who said, the loudest country on earth. I'm like, this is, first of all, that's just fucking xenophobia, right? It's just really xenophobic, but also it's not helpful. It's not helpful, and you're aiding the fascists when you play this game. Working class people inside the United States, like what our government is doing to y'all outside the United States, they have been doing to people inside this country for a long time, especially people who are not white and not male and not wealthy. If you're Black, if you're Indigenous, if you're an immigrant or the children of immigrants, if you're a woman, if you're queer, if you're a child, if you're disabled, if you live in poverty, if you are not a white, wealthy, male landowner, if you're not part of the Epstein class, then you are being oppressed by the United States government, whether you're inside the US or abroad. We are all allies with each other. And fascism, the oligarchy, is not confined to the United States. This is not an America problem. This is a global problem. They want us fighting amongst ourselves. They want to create an us versus them dynamic. They want us blaming each other for the things that they are doing, right? The Epstein class it's all of us, you guys. It's all of us versus that trifecta of oppression, the patriarchy, white supremacy, and capitalism. Those three things are harnessed so effectively by the fascists to keep us divided, to keep us from coming together and aggregating and exercising our power, both as people in the American resistance, but as working people around the world. It's always been all of us versus a handful of greedy, wealthy people who want to divide and control and exploit us. So yeah, did I get really mad at that guy for his video? Did I get really mad because I saw him being scoldy and totally disregarding, erasing the sacrifices that myself, my friends, my family members, my community, millions of Americans are making on a daily basis? Yeah, it hurts. It hurts to know that people are losing their homes, their careers. They're risking it all. People are going to prison. People are losing their lives to stand up for democracy. To have somebody in another country just try and erase all of that and be like, y'all aren't doing anything. You don't know what you're experiencing and you don't know what you're doing because you're not doing anything. Yeah, that hurts. That feels really bad. Think I have a right to be upset about that. I think we're all allowed to feel our feelings. We're all allowed to feel our feelings, but at the end of the day, we have to understand that we all have to come together. We have to look at the situation factually, accurately. We cannot be manipulated by the propaganda that wants to divide and separate us, that wants to create an us versus them, when it is all of us together. We have the power, and when we are resisting here in the United States, we're doing that for us, but we're also doing it for you. When someone in another country is resisting against their own government, we understand that we're in solidarity with each other. We understand that we are doing that for all of us. So please, please be aware of how much they're trying to isolate Americans, how much they're trying to create nationalism, how much they're trying to make America friendless and alone, how much they're trying to pit us against each other. And don't let the propaganda work on you. Thank you to all of our friends and allies outside the United States. So many people offer such kind words and so much support, and we're so grateful for you.